skills, and I want to introduce you to SampleX. SampleX has all the controls that let you emulate most vintage samplers. All the artifacts that occur from low sample bit rates, plus the aliasing that occurs from pitch shift. So let's take a look at some of the controls and check out some sounds. First part we're going to take a look at is the bits, and this goes from 24 bits all the way down to 4, so you can get really gritty, crunchy, and nasty with this. Next to that, we have the sample rate, and the sample rate goes from 96K all the way down to 2000 Hertz. Now you might see my sample rate is set at 44.1, which is what I'm using in my interface and my DAW. So depending on what you have yours, it may read different, and then you just take it down from there. Next to that, we have the shift, and the shift is going to bring out those ringing artifacts that you hear from those vintage samplers. Now the drive is actually modeled from the S900 hardware. When you use this drive, you get nice saturation, a nice warm, punchy tone coming from the drive. Underneath that, we have the filter frequency. Now you want to make sure you click the red light in the corner, and when that's lit up, that means the filter is active. The filter goes from 20K all the way down to 20 Hertz. And this is not just any filter, this is a Moog ladder filter with a 24 octave dB slope. Underneath that, we have the res, and when you use these two together with the filter and the res together, you can really get an interesting sound. And then last, we have the wet and dry, and then you have your input and your output. So the first thing we're going to start with is this vocal sample that I have in the instrumental. So this is what it sounds like completely dry. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through some of the settings, and I want you to listen for the ringing artifacts and just listen how the sample changes as we start to mess around with some of the controls. So a couple of things I want to mention too, which makes it a unique plugin versus the other samplers on the market. You see right above each of the sections, like the bit, the sample rate, shift, and drive. You can also double click and type in a specific spec for each one of these if you wanted to. So let's say, for instance, you look up, what the sample rate is on a classic sampler like the MP60. You look that up, type that in, and you can have that specific sample rate that the MP60 has. So I think that's pretty unique. Now you also have some presets to get you going if you want to use those presets. But another great thing about SampleX is if you don't want to use the presets, you can actually create your own presets. So you can make this however you want it, save it, and then pull it out, and you have it ready to go next time you're making a beat. So it's like being able to customize your own little sampler. All right, so what I want to do now is move on to the drums, because I love the way this sounds on drums. All right, so I'm not going to mess with the settings on my drums because I actually like the way I have them set. So I'm not going to touch those, but we are going to play around with the drive because I want you to hear what that's doing to the drums. All right, so now let's look at this drive. What I'm going to do is bypass the drive. So there will be a slight difference in the game, but what I want you to listen for is the kick, the bottom of the kick, and I want you to listen to the snap of the snare. So let's turn the drive off, and now I'll play the drums, and then I'll engage it. All right, and now let's hear this in context with everything else. And then I'll take it out again. So I really like SampleX on the bass because I really feels like it makes it kind of gritty. It makes it pop out. It gives it some extra growl. All right, so let me play the bass. I'm going to bypass SampleX. Play the bass. All right, so moving right along. Now what I want to do is actually show off the filter a little bit. So we are going to use this on the Rhodes sample that I have. Here's the Rhodes without SampleX. All right, so let's play around with this filter a bit so you can hear what this is doing.